Now, I like the chocolate chip cookies with sea salt. The phone errs sometimes when I flip between the front facing and the back facing cameras. And then yesterday my phone was locking for inappropriate touch. 2 minutes and then 5 minutes, walking to Georgetown and put my safety at risk for people's agreements. But let's say you're my mama and there's only one bag of Miracle Grow left and she buys it, and someone set that on the shelf to poison my mama. I don't know. These are the kind of things you think of when everyone that has had a legitimate case pertaining to being called as a witness in reference to me has died. So would that be considered paranoid or a psychological delusion in reference to public release of death notices? With that being stated, with what took place with my grandma Annie Kennedy Miguez and the abduction, perhaps my first cousin Colton, the son of Walter Pelfrey, who worked as a truck driver for the DOD in the Middle East. Hi, my middle name's Niles, selling under Georgia and Iran. Came back with heart problems. You know, my mama's brother, like, what do we call that? Oh, she just made a nice sound. Ain't that nice of her? Yeah, what is it? Abraham Lincoln, Mary something. And then I have a Lincoln in my on my grandma Jackie's side too. I don't know how this works, but to be categorized with this diagnosis code, because you have to get to have a diagnosis code, you have to build that. Like what took place when I asked for a STD test pertaining to my mouth. I want to make sure I don't have cancer, and I get medication if I need it, and if medication's available. Don't be afraid to go to the doctor, and I'm so sorry if you're LGBTI queer and you can only go to a gay place, because that's the only type of doctors that will treat us, and then you have files opened on you because of people's spreadsheets and money, and then you're penalized for seeking medical treatment like AIDS. Legislation not based in science, because of all that organized gay death to steal federal DNA from families. For whomever, I don't know who would do such a thing like that. But yeah, the doctor asked the nurse to get that ordered for me, and when the DNA sample came back, tissue. There was no tissue collected, but there was a mouth swab done, so there was a medical bill for that, which should have been placed against my insurance, because from mental health to actual physical procedures, insurance will cover some things and not cover others. The same goes for lab testing, which is associated with diagnosis codes, which is based on medical health, the diagnosis codes are based on current understanding of mental diagnosis in reference to mental health in the medical health field. Diagnosis code. So I tried to get a health exam, and no tissue pertaining to like STD and cancer. And I've asked repeatedly for years to have this addressed, and everyone says no. We're not going to do that. We don't have that for you. But lies from my family tree, who the DOD compensated Marine through the Navy budget, which I was on the Navy budget that took my blood. Health, Donald Trump, you have to get your health checked so I could steal your DNA. Michelle Obama, Clarence Thomas, the Robinsons. Allegedly arranged to pay my child human sexual trafficker for all the years of child human sexual trafficking I was forced to endure, which is continuing now through the DOD pertaining to payment in reference to stocks, bonds, dividends, retirement. and a economy that went from segregated genetics to recycled DNA, which no one's safe now, even with the segregated genetics economy. So the DoD is continuing to traffic me, and I'm being denied medical care, which could cause cancer, which is associated with LGBTI queer medical access in reference to family practitioner, in reference to appropriate medical certification, in reference to infectious disease, tied to mental fields of speciality pertaining to LGBTI queer, which is not predatory, and in the best interest of the patient population, which goes back to the Hippocratic, which goes back to, say, a pharmacist. Oh my goodness, do you dig, do you fig, do you track? We're ending the Jews, we're black. We're ending the Catholics, we're black. We're ending the Spaniards, we're black. Yeah, do you fig, do you dig? My grandpa Vernon executed as the Jew. Pope. Wait, no. The Jew, the royal Jew, ending the Jewish religion around the world. And now me. I'm not only my grandpa Vernon, I'm my grandma Idabel Borrell Verrett and Mitlis Baptiste Antine Verrett, which is the Pope, from my understanding, Royal Catholic, and then Royal Jewish, my grandma Beckman, and everything else I bring in. So we'll circle back to, this is pumpkin cranberry grapes. I am so sorry. I appreciate the way you approached, though. Your landing. That was a slow, controlled landing. Is it a crash? Is it a lash? Are you bow beating me? Are you bow beating me? That's wonderful. So it goes back to mental diagnosis code. How is that billed? Your insurance, what will and will not your insurance pay for, etc., etc. And people complaining that President Obama provided universal, President Obama implemented the Affordable Care Act, the Obama administration, I should say, because there's no executive, right? So the Obama administration implemented the Affordable Care Act, which is tied to diagnosis codes, etc., insurance payments, etc., etc. Because if you don't have insurance, then we can't get that stickiness of diagnosis code. No interracial marriage, no mixing of the races, everyone black. We can't get the technicalities of diagnosis codes being involved when we engage in predatory activity. Insurance records. Okay, so mental health, my mama. I guess I'm going to conclude with, based on published information pertaining to actions in reference to my family, actions taken, that's public knowledge. When I raise concerns, that's not a form of a psychosis, rather that's provable actions that have taken place in reference to my family and our well-being and our money and our stocks and our options, and ending our access to defense technology, which ended the Jewish and Catholic religion from the royal standard to presidential generationally by denying that to us. So, which brings a religious preference, and to execute this religion versus that religion. Now President Donald Trump reminding people about their true religion, which is supposed to be pagan, I guess, Michelle Obama Satanism, I don't know, Clarence Thomas, etc. I don't know if that's true. Which, freedom of religion, where do we set black people free, right? Are we all not free? How does that work? And only black people that stem from the CIA, are they the only ones with agency? Which their CIA mission was to destroy the Jews and the Catholics, my family. How does this work? I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, I'm in Trader Joe's on 14th Street at 14th and U. Okay. Yeah, this is my life, and my ears are ringing with defense technology as sounds being made, I should say. Sounds being artificially stimulated in my ears as I'm talking to you on this video. And if we can't say there may be a physical medical condition that may be associated with theft and torture pertaining to taking things that isn't other people's, then we get back to medical diagnosis, what is and is not acceptable for a medical diagnosis, what insurance companies will or will not pay for pertaining to medical diagnosis codes. Are those codes updated? What does that code entail? Etc., etc. Can I not say defense technology that my family had access to is being utilized to torture me? Because of whatever interests or whatever reason. No, nice. I'm reminded of Whitman Walker. Can I not say that? And then do we have to say, well, since it sounds similar, he can't say this as part of speech, and then there's no mixing of the races, so we can only have black people and everyone else who's mixed race, Jew, Spaniard, because they came from CIA birthing centers, so that's why we got around the whole free Lincoln slave thing. And now, are there any conflicts of interest pertaining to that, giving black people preference in reference to my family, pertaining to security clearance access to money, and access to defense technology that didn't come from a CIA birthing center? How does all this work? Alright guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and continue my day out. Hi kids.